Have you ever thought to yourself, Chattanooga has an interesting name. I wonder if it's an interesting place to live? Well, wonder no longer. I've got you covered in today's video. Chattanooga, Tennessee is the fourth largest city in the Volunteer State with a metro area population of about 562,000 residents. It sits on the border with Georgia and not too far east from the border of Alabama and Tennessee. There was a time Chattanooga was one of the worst cities to call home in Tennessee. It was once deemed the dirtiest city in America. Through the 1980s, people were flooding out in Chattanooga. At the 1990 census, they realized that the population had dropped by just over 10%. But since the early 1990s, things have changed, and it's become one of the more moved-to states in the South. Scenic City, that's one of its nicknames, has grown in population by 8% in each of the last 2 decades. And since the 2020 census, they estimate that Chattanooga's gained another 2%. So they're growing, and today, we're gonna see why. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, entertainment and nightlife. Now, first things first, entertainment and nightlife isn't really why someone would move to a city or a state or anything like that, unless maybe you're in the entertainment industry and you're moving there for a job. Usually it's a secondary thing, and in Chattanooga, it's a pretty good secondary thing. Besides all the cool little coffee shops, galleries, restaurants, small boutiques, they got all that good stuff. It's also got its fair share of big attractions like the Tennessee Aquarium, the Incline Railway, Ruby Falls, Rock City. They have AT&T Field where the minor league Chattanooga Lookouts play. But in my opinion, where Chattanooga stands out is their nightlife and bar scene. You got Scotty's on the River, which is a restaurant too, but it's pretty cool. You have the Whiskey Thief, which I think is a great place. It's beautiful. Definitely stop by Hair of the Dog pub. That one's pretty good. Chattanooga also has a pretty good river walk, which if you don't know, Chattanooga's right on the Tennessee River. They also have a comedy club called the Comedy Catch, so there's always something to do at night in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Number 9, it's family friendly. Just about any place you go in Tennessee, it's going to be family friendly. I mean, outside of most of Memphis. The only thing family friendly about Memphis is when you all show up at a wake. They have a lot of those. But Chattanooga is a great place to raise a family. Obviously, the suburbs are going to be a better option than downtown. They have decent schools and plenty of fun things to do for families in the Chattanooga area. Right over the border in Georgia, they got a small amusement park. Of course, like we talked about earlier, they got the aquarium here. Go horseback riding, they got a zoo. You could definitely do a lot worse than raise a family in Chattanooga. Number 8, a great place to get your degree. This is how a lot of people end up in Chattanooga. They have several colleges and universities in the city, and a lot of people fall in love with the city and just stay there. You have the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, you have Chattanooga State Community College, Richmond Graduate University, Tennessee College of Medicine. You have a few religious universities or colleges, whatever you want to call them. Number 7, the tech boom. Yeah, Chattanooga's going through a little bit of a tech boom in the last handful of years. In recent years, quite a few startups have found a home in Chattanooga. And part of the reason for that is it's called Gig City. And that's because it was the first U.S. city to roll out a citywide gigabyte network that provided fast and cheap internet access to every resident. And that drew in companies. Even though a lot of other places have gig internet now, just about any place that's a city, Chattanooga got the ball rolling. I mean, how could it not? If you got serious internet back, 5-6 years ago, even further, and it's half the price of Los Angeles, New York, or San Francisco, move your company to Chattanooga or start it there. That's one of the main reasons so many millennials moved to Chattanooga in the last 10-15 years. It's the internet and the tech industry that's going on there. I mean, Chattanooga is doing so many things to draw in young professionals, the bars, the entertainment. Maybe they could have some riots or something like that, and maybe some of those types we have here in Portland will head to Chattanooga. Number 6, the music and art scene. Yeah, goes right along with their whole theme of getting young people in there. They got a serious music and a serious art scene. When you look at the music scene, they have several venues, theaters, and a whole bunch of festivals every single year. All their festivals seem to go around drinking and music for some reason. Every single Saturday during the summer, they have this thing called Riverfront Nights where you can see music there. They also have festivals like River Bend and one called Moon River. And it's not just like if you're you're from the West Coast or something, you might just think it's going to be like country western music type thing or bluegrass. No, they have all kinds of music in Chattanooga. It's a really good place to be, and far less sideburns than you'll find in Nashville. I made a joke about that years ago about how every time I went to Nashville, I saw so many people with sideburns. I thought it was ridiculous. And it's like those really big 1970s sideburns, And I saw that years ago, and I, thought maybe the joke was a little outdated. Then I went there 7 months ago to Nashville. Yeah, it's still going on. Tons of lamb chop type sideburns. Just about every single music venue has a pretty good microbrew going on there too, I've noticed, so that's not bad. They also have one of the greatest forms of entertainment that we have here in the United States, although we don't have enough of it anymore. About 20 minutes outside of downtown Chattanooga, just over the Georgia border, you have the Wilderness Outdoor Movie Theater. Yes, it is a drive-in. And just like the old drive-ins, they got a place where you could walk your dog and let him pee. If you do decide to do this, keep one thing in mind. They do not accept debit or credit cards. You got to bring cash. And they also don't allow you to drop off your kids at the theater. That actually used to be a thing when I was a kid. I'd see parents drive in and the kids would get lawn chairs out and they'd watch a movie, and then the car would pull back up later on. Sadly, they got rid of the Torrance Drive-In near where I grew up around 1987, I think. Number 5, it's affordable. Even though Chattanooga is getting popular, it's still considered affordable. It's actually one of the most affordable places to live in Tennessee. At least that's a city. I'm sure you could find some backwoods place, live in an abandoned shack, and you'd be living pretty cheap. But as far as cities go, and nice cities at that, Chattanooga is nice and affordable. The cost of living here is about 10% lower than the national average. Healthcare is about the same as the national average, and groceries are about 7% lower. Even the cost of energy in this part of the country is lower than the national average. It fluctuates all the time, but usually it's 5 to 6% lower than the average. Tennessee is also one of the 9 states that doesn't have a state income tax, so that helps out. And the housing right now is in between 12 and 16% below the national average. That, like all things, is going to fluctuate. Number 4, the Retire Tennessee program. The Tennessee Department of Tourist Development offers the Retire Tennessee program, which promotes Tennessee as a great place for retirees to call home. Now, this is spread out over several different counties and communities in Tennessee, the Chattanooga area being one of them. You got quality healthcare in Chattanooga, you got plenty of fishing, there's golfing, it's affordable, and if Chattanooga doesn't float your boat, there's a lot of rural communities that have this program too. Now, whenever you talk about retirement, you got to bring up the weather, because that does play a big part in where people retire. It's something that retirees want to know about. And really, Tennessee's weather doesn't get terribly cold. Their average low in the coldest months is like mid-30s. Now, they have had times where it's gotten down much lower, but their average is 33 to 35. That's in December and January. When you look at their hottest month, it's going to be June, July, and August. The average is right around 80, but they have had some record highs of like 105 in August, 107 once in July. But most of the time in the hottest months, it's going to stay around 80. So it's not that bad of weather. Is it Palm Springs or San Diego? No. Is it Minnesota in January? Absolutely not. Number 3, the great outdoors. Tennessee is a great place to be outdoors. The entire state. Chattanooga is no exception. Like I said earlier, you got the Tennessee River right there. There's all kinds of hiking and walking trails. Like there's 7 different trails in the Big Daddy Loop on Lookout Mountain that you could just walk around there. There's waterfalls to go see, rapids, rock formations. There's a place called Raccoon Mountain, which has a bunch of underground caverns. And like every place that has trees or hills or rocks these days, they've got a place called High Point Zip Line Adventure or Zip Adventure, but it's zip lines. Yeah, but Chattanooga area, their big thing is their walking and hiking paths along with the waterfalls that you'll see on those paths. Mountain biking's another thing that's really big here, and gardening's pretty good. They have several golf courses if you don't want to get out in the woods. Number 2. Thriving job market. It's not just the tech industry that's booming in Chattanooga. They still have mines in this area, which it's not just mining, okay? There's a lot of support industries for the mining industry. There's also automotive industry. They have a ton of medical jobs here in Chattanooga. Chattanooga is also considered one of the best places to work remotely because of their internet. They always have good internet and it's affordable. Jobs in the last year since 2021 have grown by 2.8% in Chattanooga alone. If you're looking for a job, it might not hurt to look at Chattanooga. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There is a link down below. There's also a link for Home and Money. If you're thinking about moving someplace else, this is a great website with all kinds of tools you'll need to buy a house at a new location, including getting you in contact with a local real estate agent. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, housing costs. It's pretty cheap to buy a house and rent in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Is it the absolute cheapest place to live? No, but for a place that a lot of people are moving to, it's pretty cheap. Chattanooga, one thing I should mention, does have a little bit of crime going on right now, but it's been trending down in the last few years. And most of that crime is happening on one side of town. The suburbs are doing pretty good, but that helps keep the property prices down and the rental prices down, not just in the bad areas, all through the city. Housing costs in Chattanooga are 18% below the national average. The median home price is about $152,000. That's not bad. The median monthly rent is around $765. Now, like I've said before, median is just a number that mostly real estate agents use and stuff like that. Realistically, a decent home is going to start around $225,000 to $265,000. That's not horrible. That's below the national average. The typical rent for a 2-bedroom apartment, you could find places that are $750 to $850. You probably don't want those. What you're looking at for a 2-bedroom apartment that's going to be decent, it's going to start off around $900 and work its way up. Now, all that's below the national average, so it is affordable. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.